Luc Bouchard here, and this is today's Forgiveness Declaration card draw and reading. I forgive myself for believing that I have to play it safe. Okay, so let's see what I wrote about this in my reduction. Trying to control the outside world is a direct reflection of how much personal power we feel within our lives. If we feel vulnerable to the winds of external forces, we do whatever it takes to anchor ourselves into whatever we perceive as security. The problem with this strategy is that when we live in fear, we are placing limits on our world and ourselves, which causes us to suffer because God created us like Himself, unlimited and free. Now, here's the quote I took from Course in Miracles. You have established limits. What you ask is given you, but not of God who knows no limits. You have limited yourself. The main thrust behind this card, this declaration, and the reduction is that we have placed limits on ourselves. We see ourselves as small. We see ourselves in fear. And because we've placed those limits on ourselves, that's how we show up in the world. Where do those limits come from? Well, playing small and the ego. Because it's the ego that basically tells us that we have to play it safe and we can't take any risks and we can't certainly show up in our fullness or our muchness. We can't show up unlimited, because if we do that, where does the ego have a place? It doesn't have a place. The ego keeps us small. It keeps us contained. It keeps us, making sure that everything is going to be safe and in its place. And the only question is, does that serve you? Does playing safe serve you? Does that get you what you want in life? Is that are you listening to the oppression of the ego? That's basically saying that you can't be bigger than you are, larger than you are, greater than you are. We're meant to live in our grandeur. We're meant to live unlimited. We're meant to be spirit with God, but it's our perceived separation from God that keeps us in this very confined place. So, how do you want to live your life? Do you want to live it playing it safe, or do you want to live it with unlimitedness? It's up to you. This image. These were cables that were holding down a tent at at the zoo here in Edmonton, and so they had these massive cables stopping the tent from blowing away. It was a permanent structure, and I saw these when I was trying to figure out what image to use with this declaration. This seemed to really come into play, and about us being safe and whatnot. And I reflected that in the reduction when I said, let me see here. When we feel vulnerable to the winds of external forces, we do whatever it takes to anchor ourselves in place for our perceived, anchor ourselves to whatever we perceive our security. So, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope it served you. I hope it gave you some clarity. And if you drew this card and you're watching this video, then you just really have to stop and wonder about where is it that you're playing safe in the world, and where you're not trusting that you're going to be okay. Because that's really what it's about, is when we play safe, we're not trusting that we are resourced and we're taken care of, and God's going to actually has a plan for us. And so if you are feeling need to be safe, then I would suggest you come to your center, meditate, pray, and hand it over to the Holy Spirit and ask to see it differently. Because that's really where our safety lies and our salvation. Until the next declaration. Thank you.